Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott Sr., and here we are again this nice, beautiful weekend. I'm here with my son.
Charles Scott Jr., how you guys doing today? As I say each week, if you should be watching each week anyway, I want to mention that. You should be going on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We're on Twitter. If you miss an episode, remember, you can go back and see our over almost 80. We're on the 80th episode in a couple weeks, trust.
That's right. So we're here to give you some information as to what's happening within the real estate market and also within the economy in general.
Yes.
A lot of changes going on. You know, this is a lot of politics going on. The
Yes.
Federal Reserve has been meeting regularly, so you know we're dealing with a lot of things that are happening on the economy as far as the interest rates, real estate. There's a lot of real estate news. You know, we're dealing with the what do you call it, the economy and such, that real estate has a big effect on how prices are affected. Buying a home, rentals are changing. So you need to listen to this program because we're going to give you some information, sort of an insight as to some of the things as we see it on the ground.
Yeah, exactly, because I see a lot of news. It's almost like, I'm not saying I can predict the future, but when I see the news, I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that, because I'm already experiencing that here in the streets and the people selling the houses, the rentals. I can see where the economy is going, whether it's going up or down, but I will say the inflation is definitely tapered down from the last 2
definitely.
years.
It's gone down a
They're
lot.
trying to get down to 2%. That was their goal. I saw on the news they said 2.7, but might as well be 2, round down.
Yeah, you know, we expect that, you know, not only do we expect it, but there's a lot of talk about the Federal Reserve reducing the rate, the interest rate. So, and I think that that's a good probability. Nothing certain, but I think it's a good probability because they don't want to keep the interest rates, you know, higher than they really have to, because then that might kick in and, you know, in the recession where people really have money, want to spend it, but the interest rates are still up there, and they stop spending, and then you have all of the goods out there and no one's buying them.
Exactly. What they don't want is a recession, and if they keep the interest rates high, that will cause a depression. So they don't want that to happen. What they want to do is like I compare it to the soda and the froth last time. Let's do a gas pedal analogy. They want to let up on the gas before they reach the end of the mountain. They don't want to fall off the mountain. So they
Fall
want
off the mountain or crash.
to crash. Exactly. They want to slow down just enough that the economy can start taking up, its own, resources and start running normal again.
So how does that affect you out there, the consumer and the listener? Everybody's saying, well, so what's that got to do with me, Mr. Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it has a lot to do with you, because right now, if the price of goods goes down, then that means that either you are going to have more money to spend or more money for your savings.
Exactly. People don't realize, this Federal Reserve affects everything. I mean, it affects your grocery bill. I know that's how I really kind of talk to people that aren't in the real estate or in the market. Has your grocery bill gone up? Everyone says, yeah, double, triple, and they realize that has an effect on what the government, decisions they make.
True. Now is a good time to get involved in real estate, whether you're buying or selling. A lot of people say, well, how can I have it both ways? Well, you know what's encouraging people to buy more than anything? The rents.
Yes.
The rents have gone, what's that politician that ran? He said the rent's too high.
Yeah,
I hate to say the word
high,
he
I'll
said.
Yes.
But, that's the problem.
And I would also say that people are experiencing that. I get calls every day, people that have been in long-term, I'll say month-to-month leases. The landlord had bought the house, let's say in 2005. They moved in 2006. It's been about almost 18 years. Hey, a landlord wants to sell a house. He wants to go down south, Florida, retire. He's not going to be there forever. Maybe he wants to move to a different country. I have a lot of clients who are moving back to their home country, whether that be Jamaica, Barbados, Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. And what's going to happen is someone new is going to buy that house, and they're going to pay, I'll say, retail price. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, well, I mean, I know you've been paying rent $800 since 2006, but my mortgage is set amount. I need to increase this to, what, 2,000? We're seeing some increases of over 100%. Mm-hmm. They'll increase that $800 rent to $1,900.
That's right. So it's a good time to buy, and that's being pushed by the amount of the increase in the rents. People always say, well, what are my options? I said, well, sit down and write this out. You know what you're paying for rent right now. Many of you out there know what you're paying for rent. Mm-hmm. And you know that unless you have a lease or you don't have a lease, that's a fixed amount that you're going to have to be spending out.
Yes.
And even if you're moving, you're still going to have to pay like 2 months security. I think most landlords right now
Most
want
landlords,
2 months
2 months
security and
security.
1 month's rent. So that's 2 months security, 1 month's rent. You got to have at least $6,000 or more just to move into an apartment. Now, with some of the programs out there to help, a lot of people ask me, do you have any first-time home buyer programs? Well, with the programs that are out there, there's not as many first-time home programs as there used to be. And on top of that, the banks and all of the programs want you to have some kind of investment in purchasing a house. They want you to have some
Exactly.
savings, because they want you to be able to, take home ownership, but also the responsibility of saving money. When you have a
Exactly.
house, you can't just call a landlord every time something breaks, and things do break.
Oh yes, I would say. Remember, you're the landlord now. We do that to a lot of our customers. We teach them how to run the house. This is the water heater. This is the circuit breaker. This is your gas meter. This is your water meter. Many people coming from a New York apartment where they didn't have to have these responsibilities.
They don't even know what a furnace is.
Yeah, right.
Half of them don't even know. They see the grass and they go, "Oh wow, I'm moving into a penthouse." In New York City, you walk around New York and you look up and you see the people up there watering the grass on the 200th floor. In other words, they got the trees and the grass up there. People are not used to having a lawn.
Exactly.
When you're buying a house, one of the things that, I encourage people, they always call me and say, well, what do I have to do to get started? So if you're on the buying side, the first thing you have to do is get pre-qualified for a mortgage.
Yes.
I always tell everybody, they say, what do I can do to get prepared? Two main things. Number one, you got a job, so you have to be on the job 2 years. I can't change your job, and I can't tell you to go out and get another second job, which you could, but it's not going to help you right now, because if you're going to go out and get another job or increase your income, they don't look at it like, oh, well, you just did that last week. We got to see you on that job for 6 months. We want to see you,
Yes.
working 2 jobs for a year.
And I will not to interrupt you, but also, if you haven't been working on the job for 2 years, but for example, people who are nurses, sometimes your schooling can count towards your work experience. So I would say, just to get started, go to a mortgage person, ask them, I've been working on a job, set them out, and they may say, oh, you know what, this program qualifies you for this program. So just want to make sure that if you've been working on a job, it may be a career-focused job, you may have more time than you think than you would know.
All right, if you're looking to buy a house, save as much money as you possibly
Yes.
can. That's number one. Work on your credit. Now, if the credit is not, most banks, they want a minimum credit score of 620. That's that's on the low end. The higher you go on your credit score, then the more perks that you can get. You might get a
Right.
lower interest rate, or either they may, some programs that are going to help you as a first-time home buyer, they want to see your credit score up there. They don't want you teetering on, not paying your bills, or maybe your credit score is low because you missed some payments on some bills. Well, they don't want you missing a payment on your mortgage. So
Exactly.
the better the credit score, the more it's going to help you.
And also, I want to mention that that's another reason why we're in a unique housing environment. Unlike 2007, 8, 9, people would say, oh, I'm waiting for the crash. I'm waiting for the prices to go down to zero. Remember, these homeowners are some of the most qualified homeowners we've had in the country ever.
Long
a lot
time.
of well-credit-worthy people that own houses right now. We're not seeing as many foreclosures. We're not seeing as many defaults like we did in 2008, 2009. I mean, those are coming, but it won't be the same amount as, I would say, decades
No.
ago.
People are always asking, do you have any foreclosures? So if you're sitting out there waiting for a foreclosure in order to buy a house, you might have a long wait. On top of that, if a foreclosure hits the market, don't expect it to be selling for a how can I say it?
A steep discount.
A big discount.
Think about it. If you're waiting for it, who else is waiting for it?
And the banks are smart. They know everybody wants that house, so they're going to price it high.
Very true. And then also, what's going to happen is you're going to have people who have cash. They'll come down to buy the house. And the thing is, if the house is being sold by a bank or I'll say institution, they're going to go with the safest bet.
I had a house over the weekend. Remember I told you? I took the people out and I showed them the house. It was a short sale, sort of like a foreclosure.
And also, I was going to say, a short sale means that is the mortgage that is owed by the bank is more than what the house is worth.
Right.
People hear short sales, oh, that's a quick sale.
No, different. It just means that the bank is selling it short of the money that they
Exactly.
are owed. And I showed the house, and we came back the next day to put an offer in, they went up $100,000 on the price.
How about that?
On the price. And this is like a foreclosed situation because I said, so I called the agent and I said, hey, what's going on? They said, well, the bank realized that the house is worth more than what they want to sell it for. So therefore they want more money. So in the past, in the years ago, you know, prices, you get a foreclosed house, it was usually some abandoned house over there, it had weeds growing up in the front yard, the windows might be smashed out, or, you know, you pick it up for a steal and you fix it up. No longer does that happen. No longer does that happen because anything that's sitting out there that's abandoned or needs some work, you got so many investors or people that do that kind of work that'll buy it for cash, fix it up, and either live in it or either sell it. A lot of times people want to just live in it.
I was going to say that, guy. I tell that to my investor client base. A lot of people are going to overpay because they want to live in the house. They don't care about flipping it. They're not doing any numbers. They want a house.
They just want to live there.
Very true.
The other emphasis that we put on is a good time for selling. If you have a property out there and you're looking to sell that particular property, now is a great time to think about selling it. We have some people that, you know, I always ask people, if you sell your house, then where are you going to be moving to?
Important question.
Some people really don't have to move because they may have an investment property and they are just, you know, they've been renting it out for so many years, and they find out that maybe the kids don't want it. The kids have grown up, gone to college, they moved out of the state, and they're older now, and they're just basically collecting rents, and they have to do the maintenance. The house has gotten older, so things are starting to go wrong. Maybe the furnace is older, it needs a new roof, the pipes, and so they're just tired of taking care and babysitting the house, so they're ready to sell the house. That's where we come into the picture.
And I was going to say, some of my customers, they sell the house, and they might just start renting because they now have the large, you know, amount of money they've made from selling the house, and they're going to sit on the sidelines and say, I'll look for a new house, whether it be in a different location, or I might just become a renter and just stay as a renter. There's different avenues to everything.
So you're better off right now, let's say, if you can sell the property, and then you don't have to worry about the tenants, you don't have to worry about the snow, you don't have to worry about any of the maintenance in that particular property. So you can sell that property and get quite a bit of money right now.
And also, my clients who are older, they're selling their houses. They're going to what we call retirement communities, where they make the food for them, they cut the grass, they do everything for them, and they use that to, you know, that savings they made from the house, the equity they built up.
Where everything is taken care of. Especially in the situation of where, let's say, for example, you know, there's many reasons why people sell a house. Could be a divorce situation where they have to split up the proceeds of the house, or one person has to give the other person half the money when they split up so that the other person turns the house over to them. Well, where are you going to get the money from? If the house is worth $300,000 and you and the husband decide, okay, $150,000 for you, $150,000 for me, then I want to stay in the house. Well, that's okay. I'm going to stay here, but you got to give me $150,000 when you move out. So where are you going to come up with $150,000? That's where a situation occurs where you sell the house. Maybe the party left behind can go out and use that money to put down on another house or buy a condo.
Exactly.
You know, many people sell a big house and they downsize into a condo or a smaller house.
Yeah, people don't realize we have customers that downsize the condos. There's even a category we call bungalows. There's like these one-bedroom houses.
Oh, the bungalows.
There's a lot of bungalows around, especially around here, Fairfield County. Give us a call. We can go look at some nice little tidy house. They call them like tiny homes. You got a bedroom, a kitchen, maybe a basement. And that's all you need.
One thing we want to encourage people is that rather than lose their house, or even if it's to taxes, or whether it's to water bills, sewer bills, you're better off in trying to sell that particular property. And you know, it takes a while. People out there would be surprised. It takes a while to get foreclosed on, for someone to foreclose on your property. Even if you are in a situation where the bank sent you a letter and the court sent you a letter saying, we're foreclosing on your property, show up at court, this is the last day that you have.
Exactly. People, they take that, they say, oh my, they have a heart attack. They don't, the worst thing they can do is not go to court. I would say go to court anyway. Remember, the banks aren't landlords. They don't want to take up your house back and have to pay the taxes, maintain the property. They'd rather you stay in, maybe do a modification, or maybe get an agreement with a realtor and the judge to sell the house and claim some of that equity.
Yeah, what I've been finding out is that the judges in the courts are more than lenient in giving people time to sell their house.
Yes.
Even if the bank wants to foreclose on the property, you know, we have people that can go right in, and even remember, we have some people go right in that same day that the house is supposed to get foreclosed on and say, you know, I have nowhere to go, or either, you know, the house is worth more than what the bank said it's worth, because the bank, they a lot of times they'll say it's worth a little bit just so they can take it back.
Exactly.
So what will happen is that, you know, you have an opportunity to go in there and say to the judge, I need more time. Now, if the judge gives you another 4 months, 6 months, then you can come to us and we can sell the property, because you can always sell the property. You own the property up until the last day.
I was going to say that. Use that as a time to, I would say, save some of that money you would have been paying towards the mortgage. I mean, you're obviously going through a foreclosure, but use this time to make a strategy. Contact the realtor, contact us. Now, we're not lawyers with no financial advice, but we see this happen a lot, and we have a lot of places we can refer you to, people that specialize in foreclosure and selling the house.
Yeah, remember this, you own the house up until the last day that the property leaves your hands. And a lot of times people think that the minute they get that notice that they've lost the house. That's not true.
The thing is, I like how you explained to another customer last week. People think like buying a house is like buying a car. Like you have a car note and you don't get that title until you pay it off. Well, the house is the opposite. They give you the deed up front. Your name is on that deed, and you have a mortgage, which is separate from the deed. Now, remember, your name is on the deed. You own that house. When you get those letters in the mail, they're saying they're going to foreclose on the house. You're not paying the mortgage. But that's why you go to court and you try to mediate.
So you got plenty of time. You know, when I say plenty of time, it's 4 months or more to sell that particular property. And even then, let's say someone puts a contract in on the house and you haven't closed. As long as you got a contract, you can go back into the court and say, I need even more time. And I've seen where it's very unlikely that they won't give you more time. They always give you more time. They will give you more time because they can, if you can show them that you're trying, that you have an effort out there to try and sell the house, you will get more time, so you're able to get some of the equity and get some of the money from the
Not
house.
missing any court dates. Go to, I say, call to work if you have to. It's very important, because when you don't show up in court, it's like you're admitting guilt.
If you know anybody out there, like I said, that gets a notice that their house is being foreclosed on, give us a call.
And remember, sometimes you may get letters from other companies saying that they service your mortgage, but you may say, well, I got my mortgage with this said bank. Remember, your mortgage becomes an asset on the stock market, and these companies will trade your mortgage and sell it to other companies. People will service it. So open all those letters. Some of it may not be junk mail.
There's plenty of time. Remember that. So that's one of the things we want to emphasize to you. Now, some of the people out there probably have heard of this word, reverse mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
We've been running into that a lot lately.
A lot lately this summer.
A lot lately, we've been running into the reverse mortgages, and where people took equity out of the property and they got a reverse mortgage, and now they're at the situation where someone passed away, or either they no longer are living in the house.
Yes.
And the mortgage company that they got the reverse mortgage from is giving them an option. They either sign the house over to them, or either they give an option that you can sell the house and pay them off. You're much better off by selling the house, pay them off, and now you still got money that's left over.
Yeah, people don't realize a lot of these reverse mortgages I see that were taken out before pandemic, maybe 20 years ago, 18 years ago, those are based on the house value then. A lot of these houses have increased, well, I'll say all of them have increased substantially, and a lot of them are worth more than what the reverse mortgage is. So people don't realize, you know, maybe someone's grandmother passed away, they can still sell the house and still make a profit from the house.
And the one thing I find out is that a lot of people that have reverse mortgages do not share that information
That's another
with
thing.
their family or their children. And you don't know how many people do not share that information. You'll have the family and the family, the older people. What is it they all say? I don't want nobody to know my business. You ask them a question. Well, don't even dare ask them a question about their mortgage.
Who
Why
owns
you
the house?
why you planning on me dying?
Oh yeah, you gonna try to sell the house?
It is, you trying to sell the house?
Say that's none of your
That's
business.
none of your business. They don't want anybody to know getting into their business or what's happening to the house or who's getting the house. Right away they think you're plotting their
And
demise.
the thing is, sometimes they will let them in a little bit on their business, and they'll say, "I'm leaving the house to you three," and they'll quit claim the house, or they'll sell the house, not realizing with that reverse mortgage in place, they don't have the authority to do that.
You can't do that.
Can't do it.
You can't do that. We have people come to us and say, "I own the house, Mr. Scott. This is my house." And I'll say, "Okay, well, let's look into this." And I'll look and I'll say, "Okay, your name is on the deed, but you don't own the house." I say, "Well, how can I not own the house if my name is on the deed?" I said, "Well, here's what happened. Maybe your mother or whoever it was, they quit claim the house to you. That means that they took the piece of paper and they signed your name and they went to the lawyer and you signed your name, and then they went to City Hall,
Yep.
and City Hall put your name on the deed, took their name off the deed and put your name on the deed." Okay, that looks good on paper, but what about the mortgage? Your name was not taken and put on the mortgage.
Nope.
The person that's on the mortgage is still your mother, your father, or whoever bought the house. So you can't do anything with that piece of paper as far as selling the house without paying off the mortgage. The mortgage got to be paid off.
I was saying, people would say, "Well, then what do I do?" I say, "Give us a call," because we come across a situation quite often.
A
At
lot
least
of
2 to
times.
3 times a month, and we know some of the best professionals in this area that deal with that type of
We're
situation.
going to refer you to some lawyers that,
Yes.
that can help you. And usually the person doesn't realize this, like I said, because the older people don't want you getting into their business, and you better not ask questions, but they should, when they do a reverse mortgage or a refinance, they should tell their children. But half the time, they don't, or not half the time, I say 98.9% of the time, they don't want the kids to even know. They don't want the kids to know that they refinanced the house. They don't want the kids to know that they did a reverse mortgage.
I just want to tell people in case they're confused. When you refinance the house, that's when you're tapping in on current equity. You're actually increasing your mortgage by taking some of that equity that's been built. But when you do a reverse mortgage, you're getting a large lump sum, and you're agreeing to the company whether when you pass away, the house is going to them, or when you pass away, the house must be sold to satisfy that loan. And maybe your heirs, sons, granddaughters, may get whatever's left over.
You'd be surprised, or the people out there listening to me right now would be surprised if they went and checked the deed on their
yeah.
parents' house or the deed on their relative's house to find out what they did. They might have did a reverse mortgage. They might have did a refinance, a quit claim, all of these different things that you are not aware of. And it's very easy for you to find these things out. I'm going to get in trouble right now.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, people think this is a secret.
I'm going to get in big trouble right now because people think that they don't want you to get into their business. Well, you don't have to worry about that. All you got to do is go to City Hall.
Go to City Hall.
They'll tell you. It's public knowledge.
Public knowledge.
They'll look right up on the records, and you can ask any question you want because you're not getting into their business, because the business is the public, and they'll tell you anything that you want to know. They'll tell you who got the mortgage, whose name is in, how much is the mortgage, who signed the papers. They'll tell you everything that it is that you want to know without getting into everybody's business. So, and I advise people to do that because unfortunately I see too many times where all the way at the end is when they start finding all these things out.
Exactly. I was going to say that, but people don't realize it has to be recorded publicly because that safeguards the house. Because we have situations, we see it on the news and online. There's a lot of fraud sometimes in real estate where someone tries to sell a house that doesn't belong to them. Now, if those property records weren't public record, I could just go to someone's house, make a key, and say I'm the owner. But before a house is transferred to another person, that's where the lawyers are involved. They're checking title. They're making sure that they go to City Hall to make sure that person really owns the house. which is why it's public knowledge.
Any one of you out there right now could pick up the phone or go to City Hall, find out who owns what, how much they owe, whether or not they refinance, the name of the bank that the mortgage company gave them the mortgage, what interest rate, everything that you want to know.
Exactly.
And all you have to do is go and walk in the City Hall. You don't even have to show any identification. They don't care who you are, because it's public knowledge. Now, if you want a copy and have it all printed out, they may charge you $1.
That's different.
Usually they charge you for $1 to print it out, and they give you a copy. You can take it with you, because if you had to approach somebody and say to them, "Well, this is what I found out," first thing they're going to say to you is, "You don't know what you're talking about." Say, here's a copy of everything. Here's a copy of your deed, and they're going to say, "You got a copy of my deed? You must have broken my house. How did you get a copy of that?" But anybody can get a copy of everything by just going to City Hall, and it's public knowledge, and you pay a fee and they print it out for you.
Exactly.
So there's no mystery to any of this. There's no secret to any of this. It's not magical. It's not voodoo. It's just plain business. And you can get a copy of all of these different things. So we're giving you some advice today that probably most people out there never even realize. I could see people right now running to City Hall.
Yeah, and also there's also some websites you can go to that have certain counties also, lets you see the deeds and everything. This is a valuable source, because you may want to go down and say, do I own my house? Does my grandmother own a house? Just want to make sure that everything's in order.
And it's for your protection,
It's
and
for your protection.
for their protection, to be able to help them now. Because remember, if you don't do anything and after they're gone, that's when it all breaks loose.
Yes.
Everything becomes a disaster.
Probate,
because
states
you got to
involved.
figure out who did what or who did with. At least now you may be able to go sit down and ask a question and get an answer. And say, especially if they know you can get the information anyway. And it's better that you give your parents some advice now, or so that they can set up their matters now ahead of time, without being a question mark and letting other people take advantage of them.
Yes,
So
very
you
true.
should be able to assist your relatives or your parents if they want to sell the house, they want to keep the house, or whoever they want the house to go to. You should be able to sit down and talk to them and have an honest conversation, so that they will be able to help themselves, and more than anything, you help them. It's called,
Yes.
like in some cases, estate planning.
There you go.
Help them plan for the future.
No, we tell them we're not financial advisors.
We're not financial advisors.
We
We're
point you
not
in the right
lawyers.
direction on how to get that done.
We're just saying, get as much information as you possibly can to be able to assist the people your loved ones.
Exactly.
That's it. So today,
This
hopefully.
half an hour goes by quick too, doesn't it? We were just talking about helping people, buy a house. Now we're talking about
helping them keep them.
keep the houses. But that City Hall is a great tip. I would say
Great,
definitely
great.
bookmark this episode.
So really, this is a very, very important episode that we're talking to you about right now. Share it with some other people out there. But give us a call. We can have a private one-on-one with you and assist you even further.
Yes.
So hopefully we were able to help you this week. Until next week, God bless.
Amen.